Yes, you can sell photos of a public event without the need for model releases. And there's actually a few ways you can do this. Welcome to the channel. My name is Charlie, and today we're going to talk about how to sell photos of public events without having to worry about model releases, property releases, or anything like this. I just got back from a trip to the Oregon coast where I was photographing giant walkable labyrinths on the beach by circles in the sand. Look at these things. They're incredible. I've done their calendars for the last few years, and I was trying to catch up and get some more images for next year's calendar. This is one of my favorites. Anyway, they do incredible works of art on the beach, and you know, there's always a lot of people watching and taking pictures. How do you sell that? Oh, one more thing. Reader's Digest, July 2025, a couple pages in. Here's one of my photos from these labyrinths, which is awesome. I love it when I find my work published like this. But anyway, let's get back to how you can sell photos of a public event without having to worry about model releases or any of this stuff. All right, the obvious thing for the channel is, yes, you can sell these photos as stock photos. They have to be under the editorial license. I actually went out and printed the US guidelines here, and it's US because that's where I am. Other countries might be different, so just make sure to check the rules. But it says, yes, you can sell photos of people in public spaces. When you're in public, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. If the photo was taken in a public place like a beach, park, street, and the person was not doing anything where they had reasonable expectation of privacy, like going not in a bathroom, behind a fence, etc., then you can publish the photo in editorial content, art books, calendars, fine art prints, I have more somewhere, galleries, personal websites, and documentary films. So you can do all of this without the need of a model release because you're literally just sharing a photo or art or information. As long as the photo isn't used to suggest that the person endorses a product, idea, or service. You're not defaming or misrepresenting them. This is protected under the freedom of expression and the concept of artistic editorial use. You cannot use the same photo for commercial purposes without the model release. So if I was gonna sell this and put a Colgate toothpaste here or something with the turtle, I don't know, something like that, then I would need to have a model release because now we're selling a product. That includes ads online or print, sponsored posts, commercial product packing, brand promotions, and stock photos labeled as commercial use. They have to be under the editorial license. If you're selling in stock, it has to be editorial. And then it doesn't matter if you have property or models, you don't need the releases if it's an editorial photograph. Even if someone's face is invisible, but they're still identifiable, whether it's with tattoos, clothing, posture, etc., a model release is generally required for commercial use. I'll go one step further. If they have a tattoo, that tattoo does not belong to the person that has it. That art belongs to the artist, the tattoo artist that did that. So if you're gonna sell a picture of someone with that tattoo as a stock image, you're gonna need that artist property release. All right, imagine this. You walk up to the beach, you're on a cliff, you're looking down, there's this giant labyrinth, and there's tons of people walking and enjoying and taking pictures. The first thing I did years ago was to use a very dark ND filter, and I put that on my camera. That gave me shutter speeds of like 5 or 6 minutes in bright daylight. So you're taking a picture, people are moving, they're ghosts, they're gone. It's like nobody was there. So now you just got this beautiful labyrinth on the beach, but I still can't sell it as a commercial photo because the artwork. Now I need the artist's permission to sell that. I would need a property release. So even without the people, you still can't sell it as commercial because of the artwork. That belongs to somebody else. Now, I was gonna do this at the beach, but it was insanely windy. Anyway, there was no way my tripod could hold still for 5 minutes in those conditions, so I didn't even go there. I was worried I was gonna lose the camera and lose another lens. That's something to keep in mind. It's not just about model releases, it's about property releases. But under the editorial license, it's fair game. You can sell them, no problems, no questions asked. But why is there always buts? There's always something to consider. When you're doing editorial photos, there's a lot of things you have to keep in mind so that qualifies as an editorial photo. The first thing is no heavy editing. So no, I cannot replace the sky, even though it was, I cannot add clouds to it because that's not how the day was. And no, I can't use the content aware to remove some people or to add other things. It has to be as it happened that day. Editorial. You can only do basic things like contrast and color corrections and literally the basic tweaks here and there. Just especially if you're shooting raw, you want to bring that photo to life. You want to develop that photo. So you're going to add your contrast, a little bit of color correction, maybe white balance. That's totally fine when you do an editorial work. But the biggest thing is you have to show what happened, how it happened. You can't be manipulating your photos like we do with commercial photography. Now, if we're doing photos for a calendar or for prints, you can modify anything you want. I could replace the sky. I actually cleaned up here some of the footprints that were in the sand. That's totally okay. Something like this, I replaced the sky. That's one of my favorite photographs. That was a light painting here. That was 4 people involved to get in this picture. 2 walk in the sand. I had 4 cameras, but there's no way the sky is from that picture. That was a 15-minute exposure. 15 minutes. The sky would have been, the stars would have been just trails. So that's a different picture of a sky that I took, and I used it here just to add a little bit more of that wow factor. Literally wow factor. As an editorial photo, no, I cannot do that. As art, calendar, books, absolutely legal. There's no worries there. All right, just to clarify this a little bit more, US rules, I'm in the US, the stock agencies I use are based in the US, so the rules that I'm using are for here only. I don't know other countries' rules. Each one is gonna be a little bit different, but here, if you're in a public beach, in a public space, with no expectation of privacy, then you can sell photos in this way, editorial or art. The easiest way to sell photos of a public event is to sell them under an editorial license, to give information. Now remember, there's a specific way you want to write that caption, and I made a video which I'll link here at the end as to how to write that caption so that those photos get accepted by the agencies. Out of all of the agencies that I use, Adobe Stock is the only one that does not accept editorial images. I think you have to be invited by them to be an editorial photographer. They do accept illustrative editorial, which is photos of products without people. So I could take a photo of this remote here in my hand, as long as I'm out of the picture, just my hand, and I can sell that as an illustrative editorial photograph. It says Canon BRE1, that's a remote, totally acceptable. Top down on my hand on the table, as long as there's no recognizable people, Adobe can sell that. Keep in mind, again, you cannot over-process those photos. They have to be representation of what happened, how it happened, when it happened. If you have something with artwork, even if it's something like this that's drawn in the sand and it's just gonna disappear, that does not belong to me. I cannot sell that as a commercial image. It has to be sold as editorial. It's not my art. But if I'm selling calendars, prints, or anything like that, then that's considered art. I don't have to worry about model releases or property releases. That's where the law gets a little tricky. But yes, I can totally sell this as a print to hang in your wall, which actually looks really pretty. There's a lot of freedom in public places if you play it right. Remember, there's a lot of rules, but if you play them right, you can totally sell photos, whether it's prints, books, calendars, or an editorial for stock photography. You can make a lot of money this way as well. Anyway, if you found this helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.